Eric in Texas. Eric, you're on the air.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir.
There?
Yeah, sure am. Sure
Hey,
am.
I've been a soldier of the New World Order since '96, man. That's when I went through the police academy there in Central Texas.
Yes, sir.
And used to listen to you on AM, thought you were quack, till a few years back. We had an emergency preparedness class that we took. We had a bunch of bigwigs from Gulfport and New Orleans come in talking about FEMA and Katrina. And we got to see the national ID card that no one else is supposed to know about because they'll think it's the end of the beginning of the end, I suppose. Just wanted to kind of say thanks for waking me up, and I chose to be a cop, and I've seen enough stuff over the years where I've decided not to be. Joined Oath Keepers a couple years ago, and pretty much a traitor and an outcast with my peers and coworkers since then, and I feel
really
much
for
better
saying you're going to follow the Bill of Rights and Constitution. You're a traitor and an outcast. You know what? Stay there. Don't hang up. We've got to go to break here, Eric. I want to come back after this break and talk about how you're a traitor and an outcast because you say you'll follow the Bill of Rights and Constitution. You'll do what you've sworn to do. You will stand for the Republic. I mean, that is a frightening statement, and so I want to hear some details of that. So Eric is a police officer here in Texas, says he's going to get out of it because he became a member of Oath Keepers a few years ago and talks about liberty and freedom, and he's become an outcast. Now, I get calls like this. I talk to cops on the street, that pull up on their bikes or in their squad cars, and where routinely both of them are listeners. So I guess it depends on what department you're in or what unit or what group. But generally, they're trying to turn cops into enemies of the Republic. But a lot of police that I've run into are good men and women. But that is really scary, Eric, because I have squad car video, not just in my film Road to Tyranny, but in other clips I've been sent where it's their own video with their own microphones on their ties or on their uniforms where they find a pocket Constitution or somebody brings up the Constitution and the cops act like they found a dead baby or something. They act like they found meth dealers. I mean, they freak out in fear. And so I guess that same brainwashing that they're giving the police, I guess, extends to you. Don't they know that keeping your oath is what they've sworn to? I mean, how can so many police think that talking about keeping your oath is dirty?
Well, I get it's just a culture of us versus them, man. It's been that way since I went through the academy. There's a lot of lip service on civil rights and people's private property, and it really boils down to just a bunch of CYA information to keep the departments from getting sued. And unless you get into a specialized unit or you start dealing more with the guys that are in charge, most of the stuff they're involved in, I think, is kind of out of our pay grade on the street. When I saw these knuckleheads from post-Katrina come in there with this emergency preparedness and joking about the national ID card and number of the beast, and I'm not a super religious guy, but I mean, it struck me as like, well, wait a minute, what is a national ID card for? And they proceeded to tell me that, to restrict access in and out of emergency zones, and it was ridiculous. And I kind of was vocal about it at the class, and that's kind of where it started for me because I noticed the guys looking around like I was some kind of a, fruitcake or right-winger or something. And
sir, have you seen Road to Tyranny? Because I have stuff pre-9/11. It was sent to us in 2000 by a firefighter. It's in Kansas City, where I was still on AM radio, and the room's full of police, firemen, sheriff's deputies, and the FEMA guy, looks like a special forces type guy, is bad-mouthing Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. Anybody that talks about freedom is probably a terrorist. And the cops are nodding and agreeing. And it's like, it's so alien. This is the heart of America that they are saying is now bad. Don't cops know that when there's a foreign banking takeover, bad guys are going to come to them and tell them the good guys are the bad guys? Look at FEMA. They cut the police communication lines so the cops couldn't aid the public, so the feds could come in and take over. That's now on record.
Well, that's the Thomas Jefferson quotes and George Washington and all that. It must be a regular speech they give because that's the same tripe they told us in that meeting.
Oh, so they were demonizing the Founding Fathers.
Absolutely. And so my sheriff, the guy I worked for up till recently, last couple of months, went, I guess, to the Sheriff's Association meeting there in Austin, I think is where it was at, I'm not sure. But they had an Oath Keepers booth set up. And he took some of their stuff and read it, and he came back and he was joking to me about it out at the range about these oath keepers. And I said, well, I'm an oath keeper. And the conversation came to a dead stop, and he looked at me and he's like, well, you know, what are you saying? I said, well, I'm just saying that I took an oath and I'm going to defend it. And he said, well, if you do what your oath keepers say you're going to do, then you really can't have your job in some instances. And I was like, okay, man. I mean, it's just amazing.
So why did he swear an oath if it's so bad to follow your oath? I mean, don't they understand that if the Germans would have followed their oath, they had a pretty good oath as well, that none of that would have happened? I mean, don't they realize that they're swearing an oath because police are either guardians of liberty or pure tyranny? I mean, it's the same. I mean, don't they understand cops are bad in Mexico or North Korea? Don't they get that?
I swore that same oath, and when I recited it, I was waiting to get my badge. And I think that's what happens to a lot of guys. Just something you say and it sounds patriotic, and then you move on, and it's us versus them, and everybody's bad, and we're the good guys, and we're the thin blue line, and all that garbage. You know, but when you grow up a little bit, and you've seen enough of it, and you start questioning things, then right there you've stepped out of that, I wouldn't say code of silence. Now, of course, this is not a blanket statement for all police.
No, I understand. Eric, I'm just curious, what jurisdiction are you in?
Well, I was out in West Texas till a few months ago, and I'm now working on the pipeline. I've left it, and I actually worked up in north of Austin for many years, and went out to...
You know what? We've got a guest coming up, but I want the guest to hear this. When we come back, just briefly to Bruce Fine, tell him the type of stuff they say about George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. I mean, we have it on video, but we want to hear it from you. And then we'll bring our guest up to comment on what you say. Stay with us. Well, here's the good news. A whole bunch of other states, including Utah, are saying they're going to call the federal bluff on the TSA groping inside the pants and outside the pants of men, women, and children. Texas had caved in, but now in the special session, Rick Perry did not ask for the bill, though he claims he supports it, to be brought back up, even though it passed unanimously, to then be killed by Perry's minion, Dewhurst, in the Senate, according to senators who blew the whistle on him, like senior Senator Dan Patrick from Houston. But now Dewhurst, under incredible heat, is asking Perry to put it back in the special session. Why didn't Perry do that on his own? But that news is all up at infowars.com and prisonplanet.com. The point is, the fight is on. Now, Bruce Fine, who is one of the leading constitutional law scholars, advisor to Congress, Ron Paul, says that he's a big follower of Mr. Fine's take on things. He's quoted on the cover of the Constitutional Peril saying, Bruce Fine is one of the most important legal minds in our time. We're going to be talking to Bruce here in a moment. But finishing up, Eric, I have the training manuals. I have the videos that police sent us, not just the manuals, saying George Washington bad, Thomas Jefferson bad, Ron Paul bad, Bob Barr bad, anybody that talks about the Constitution bad. I mean, but you were saying that you were taught the same stuff in Texas with Mr. Fine listening. Tell folks the type of song and dance you were told about the Founding Fathers.
Well, essentially, I was told to be on the lookout for anybody that espouses that, because there are probably right-wing extremists, and those are one of the folks we need to look for. And this was before I'd even read a MIAC report or anything else. And so I think it's pretty much a standard. They go around the country, you know, and they're in the process of militarizing all of us. I mean, every cop wants to get on SWAT, and they've got all the good toys, and I've done it. I've been on SWAT for years, and it's just got to the point of being ridiculous. You know, it really has. And
well, all over the country, they're announcing that they're going to SWAT team even for unpaid speeding tickets. So it's just
well, they're using the fear of all these officers that have been getting shot lately. They're using that to stoke our fears, and we go in heavy-handed, and that's... But
you know what's going to happen. That's going to lead to more people who are going to start fighting. You see how it's a self-fulfilling prophecy?
It is. It exactly is. It absolutely is.
All right. Well, God bless you, Eric, and we appreciate your call. Too bad you decided to get off the force because of all of it, because it would be good to have good folks in there, but I don't want to second-guess your decision. I certainly couldn't do it. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?